You can write notes back to forth to me on the contract or the listing. You know, some people will put, hey, I've got inspection scheduled for blah, 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 and they'll put it in there. Well, now it's a part of that file. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. All right, so we'll start with the buyer. And so these, just because you see SkySlope, that's just a note to myself that I need to put that file in SkySlope still. So once you have a contract, I go through and pull the information out, like who the escrow agent is. Once we schedule it, I put who it's, you know, the date and time. I put the client's information in, which is where I'm pulling that from your buyer agency or your listing agreement. I put the other agent's information. I put the lender's information. If I have it, I put if there's any referrals, notes to myself. I put the inspections that were scheduled so that we can make sure we have the professional services disclosure. And then I create checklists, the under contract checklist. So this is just me making sure you have each of your forms and what we need to work on. And actually I need to get rid of that copy of checks because we're no longer doing that. We've been recommended not to keep those in our files. And some of this you may not know, like you probably don't know what an ABD is, but that's an affiliated business disclosure, and that's for me. And some of this is processes that, in fact, we can go look at a clean one that's you don't see a bunch of check marks on. That would be better. And so here is all the forms that could possibly be needed. And you know, if you delivered the DD check to the listing agent, you could go into your Trello board and check it off, because I make you a member so that once you log into Trello, you'll be able to see it. Sign receipts. So this is just making sure we have everything done. This is again something you probably wouldn't know what it was. It's for our internal LPJ closing board. It's just an internal accounting thing we do in SISU. And then once you go under due diligence, which is immediately really, I keep check of any home inspections. Are the utilities on this particular property? Do we need a survey? If the property's has CCRs, I try to pull those and send those to your buyer. I try to get a copy of the septic permit just to check it out if we need to. I check your impervious, and I'll post up in here what the impervious is for that property. Follow up with lender. And some of these are things that you guys do, like you may hear from the lender and you know, you could check, yeah, everything's going good, followed up. If I know the appraisal scheduled, I'll contact the agent and get the utility information and send it to your buyer. And then this is a reminder for waterfront properties that we need to transfer the dock. And so the way this is organized, these are my newer contracts on top, which is why they still need to go into SkySlope. Those are all the ones that came in kind of over the weekend, or are waiting on something to go in SkySlope. But once I have this checklist due diligence organized by the due diligence date so that I can try to watch your dates. And then once it goes past due diligence, it moves over to my closing board and gets a whole nother checklist for closing. Have we verified the repairs are completed? Has the home warranty been transferred if it's part of the contract? Have all the bills been sent to the closing attorney? I'll send out an email usually a day or two before closing, reminding your buyer of the closing location, the address, anything funky that could be going on with that property. You know, the items that convey, the home warranty, that kind of thing. I make sure that our SkySlope file is approved and that I've sent the distribution authorization from EXP to your attorney so that we can get paid by split checks. And so this board is organized by your closing date. We have a couple closing today. And so that's how this one, and then once it's closed, it'll move over to my post-closing, and this is solely for me, the things I need to take care of at post-closing. You know, make sure everything's in Google Drive and SkySlope, and all our accounting systems are closed out. Our marketing board on Facebook for you guys to get this, that sold post out. So that's pretty much completely me. And then there's a similar checklist for sellers. If it will go to it. There we go. All right. And then, so when you tell me you're working on a listing, we've got quite a few in the works here. I'll put it under a pre-listing checklist. So it reminds me of everything needs to be done for that to get it ready to go. And so I check off all the forms. Do we have them all? Have we pulled the septic and matched it up to the MLS to make sure we're not advertising something we don't have? Do we have a dock permit? Have we ordered the measure, the photos? And once I order measure and photos, same thing. I don't have all the information on that one. I'll show you on this one. So I put the seller, your seller's contact information. This is where I check the impervious on this particular property. And I'll put up here always when your pictures are scheduled. So if you ever need to, you can't remember what we agreed on, it should always be right there. If you need to send me a note on a file, you can always go down here, hit the @ button. I don't see my name. It's probably because it's in my own, I can't send myself. Oh, okay. You send @Amy and then type what you need me to know, and it'll pop up in my alerts. So that is one way to send me a message on a file. So once it goes under pre-listing, it goes into my marketing. Once it's active, it goes to marketing. So now this is where I send it to Kelly and Craig to start marketing the property. I make sure your listing home warranty has been ordered, work on your brochures, and we put it on the Mayo page, and then I add it to our accounting system. And then once it goes under contract, we have similar checklist as before. Due diligence seller checklist. I change it in this MLS. And again, if these are things you've done, you feel free to go in and check it off. I had somebody ask me the other day if it's okay if they check things off, and that's perfectly fine as long as you've done them. Don't check it off if you haven't done them, and then I think it's done. And then this is where I remind myself we need to do that under contract post for you guys. Similar to the buyer checklist and similar closing seller checklist. So it moves right along the board. And again, it's organized by, well, those are my newest ones. Once they're in SkySlope, I'll move them down in order. But they're organized by your due diligence date. And then once that's passed, it goes over here to the closing date. And then a post-closing just like the other one. And this will be where I'm probably waiting on signed CDs or something over here. Not sure what I'm waiting on this one. Oh, waiting on checks from the attorney. And then once it's completed, I have a completed, so it disappears from my board. Any questions on your Trello board? Once you have a file, I add you to it. So you see members are me, and this one happens to be a listing for Brian Recitar. So he's added to it. So when he logs into Trello, he can see it. I can send him messages through it, and it'll alert him that I sent him a message on this file.
Amy, that was super helpful. Very organized.
Yes, thank you. Is there a video on Trello's, how to use Trello? I've been on it, and I've kind of figured it out, but one of the things I'm interested in is, does this actually sync up with your calendar with reminders and that sort of thing? And
oh, I don't think it does. I don't really use it beyond this.
That's
Kelly,
a great thought. That's a great thought, Ray. If we could get Kelly to help us with that, Amy, she
Yeah.
can help us figure out if we can hook it to people's Google calendars, and then their dates could be on their calendar, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Mhm.
But I don't think it does because there's not really, do you know if Trello sync? Oh, Kelly said she'll look into that.
If they sync with what?
If this will sync with your calendar, like when you put dates in here. I
do
don't
believe
know.
it. I think I'll investigate, but I think there's the paid and the free version have different.
Oh,
remember
okay.
with the add-ons.
And we're using the free version, so I don't know.
But we'll look into
We
it.
haven't used
I
it.
think
That
we
way.
use the paid versions, but there's tons of add-ons, so we can look into the
Yeah,
add-ons.
yeah.
Okay. I have to run to another.
Thank you.
Bye.
They're constantly at this platform. I love it because they do have good add-ons for it, but they aren't charging you for every single thing unless you actually use it. So if we can
Right.
add, I think that'd be a great tool. And also, your all clients, eventually this will tie into that as well. There's a way for Trello to tie into all clients, which is another add-on that we're going to work on in the future, probably at the beginning of next year. I don't see us having time to do it before the end of the year. That's another undertaking. But thanks for going over this, Amy. I really appreciate it.
You're
The
welcome.
more information we provide her, the easier her job is and the better she's able to service our clients and be more efficient so that she can handle all of our volume that we're all doing together, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, something that would be super helpful is if when I have a lot of times I enter listings as incomplete in MLS, getting it ready for you guys because you may not want to make it active for a week. Well, then lo and behold, you decide to make it active early. Send me a message that you made it active so I'm not clueless. Anyway, when we get questions about it, I'm like, oh, that's not active yet. Oh, yeah, it is. So that would be awesome.
Another thing to keep in mind is Fridays are one of Amy's busiest days. So if you can think in advance on a Monday, that what you might need for that week and let her know that day, then she has time over the week to be able to plug it in to where it makes sense for her schedule, because she's handling closings, listings going active. So just out of, just take a few minutes on your Mondays or as soon as you know something, even if it's the following week, and then she can, she starts preparing for stuff in advance, and it helps her not feel so stressed because everyone wants something in the same hour.
Right.
So
because once you tell me you have a listing coming, I will go ahead if I have some free time and go ahead and start entering that listing, the information I have off tax records into MLS so that it's at least started. And once we have pictures, we can plug it in. Once you send me the MLS information, we can plug it in. Some people like to write their own remarks in there. So, I'll at least get it to a starting place that you're able to go in and do some editing yourself. Because once I make you a co-listing agent, you have access to that listing through your MLS.
any other questions,
Well,
anybody? Go ahead.
Just one last question. Where would I find this video for this session?
So we're going to download it. Kelly will download it and we'll upload it to the Facebook team page. And then
Okay.
we're actually going to be creating a, Craig, I'm not sure what his vision is for this, but we're going to be creating a series for you guys on a YouTube channel or something that's only accessible to the team. So that's basically what we're doing with them. But in the meantime, we'll definitely make sure they're on our LePage Johnson team page for people who miss it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a good question. And as we grow and do things, we'll be adding in modules and things to help you guys, but we wanted to give you a good foundation today with Amy going over exactly how you input a listing. And one thing I would highly recommend, I talked about this at our mastermind yesterday, if a couple of you partner together and say, you know what, Robin's gonna pick a listing, a house in, I don't know, on the lake that she wants to buy, and you act like she's your buyer, and you do the vice versa with her, Ray, like say the two of you partner, then you can practice going through forms, you can practice presenting an offer to each other, or you just pick somebody on the team that you could be comfortable with. I think that And then Ray, you pick your dream house on the golf course. I don't know where you would want to be, but you know, then it kind of helps her. She can do a market analysis and kind of really gives us that comfort level of working with somebody and not independently on something that, you know, you're trying to help their need. So, and both parties learn. So I think that's a great way to learn from each other. And Cindy or anybody else who's on this call, I highly recommend doing that. And then you guys can all learn from each other and build your skill set.
Yep. All right.
Because there's nothing worse than not doing this and just watching this, and then all of a sudden you're deer in headlights when someone says, oh, I want to look at that condo on Saturday, and then 2 hours later they're like, can you write me an offer? And you're panicking because you hadn't touched this since we had this meeting. So it's so much easier if you actually do it and come up with scenarios that you can actually pretend to do.
Yeah.
No panicking. Because then if Amy's not here, I'm not available, you really feel like you're at a loss. And we don't want that for you guys and Kathy and everybody. But we'll support you guys. But if you can make an effort, that's a huge help.
Yep.
This was great, and this was a big, big help.
Oh, good.
Cindy, awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. You guys, really appreciate you jumping on today. We'll record this, get it downloaded. And if you have questions, you know who to reach out to. We'll help you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Amy.